Have you ever stopped to think where the metals inside your phone, your car, or even the wires in your house actually come from? Well, the answer might just blow you away. Today, we're going to take a journey deep, deep beneath the ocean waves to uncover some of Earth's hidden metal factories, a process that's happening right now and has been for billions of years. All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll get a handle on what these underwater factories even are. Then, we'll check out the very specific kind of volcanic real estate they need to set up shop. After that, we'll break down the step-by-step recipe for how they're made, dissect their anatomy like a treasure chest, and finally, connect these ancient wonders to things happening on the seafloor as we speak. So, first things first, what in the world is a VMS deposit? It sounds super technical, I know, but the idea behind it is actually pretty amazing. Okay, let's break that down. At its heart, a VMS deposit is just a huge, concentrated pile of metal sulfides. The two words you really got to remember are submarine, which just means underwater, and hydrothermal, which is a fancy way of saying they're formed by superheated water shooting out of volcanoes right there on the ocean floor. And we're not talking about just any old rocks here. Nope. These things are some of the world's most important sources for the metals that literally power our civilization. We're talking copper for all our electronics, zinc for building our cities, and yeah, even precious stuff like gold and silver. But here's the thing. These metal factories can't just set up shop wherever they want. Oh no. They need very specific and very, very dynamic geological real estate to get going. And what's so fascinating is how the location totally changes the final product. Just look at this table. It's kind of like different factories specializing in different goods. A VMS deposit at a mid-ocean ridge, it's going to be pumping out a ton of copper. But one over in a back arc basin, you're looking at a lot more zinc. The geology really does dictate the treasure. So, what's the common thread here? What do all these places have in common? Well, it really boils down to two simple things: heat and cracks. You absolutely need active underwater volcanoes to act as a giant heat engine, and you need the Earth's crust to be stretching and pulling apart, creating all these fractures that become a natural plumbing system. So how does this whole thing actually happen? This part is incredible. We're going to follow the journey of just one drop of seawater as it gets totally transformed, following a 4-step recipe for creating a massive ore deposit. Just picture it like a giant natural geothermal system. You've got magma way down deep acting as the boiler. Cold seawater gets sucked down into all those cracks in the crust, or it gets superheated. This hot, now acidic fluid then dissolves a bunch of metals from the volcanic rock around it and carries them right back up to the seafloor. And this number just perfectly illustrates the insane scale of that transformation. I mean, think about it. We're talking about seawater that's nearly freezing, around 2 degrees Celsius, getting blasted all the way up to 400 degrees. That kind of intense change turns it into this potent, metal-dissolving superfluid. And here it is, the grand finale. The superheated, metal-packed fluid erupts from a vent and bam! The thermal shock is instantaneous. It hits that freezing cold ocean water and immediately drops its entire precious cargo, precipitating out all those metal sulfides to build the chimneys and mounds that will one day become a massive deposit. Okay, so we've seen how they're made. Now let's grab a virtual drill and take a look inside one of these treasure chests. You'll see they have a very distinct and pretty predictable internal structure. Right at the very top of the mound, where the hot fluid starts to cool off a bit, you get what's called the zinc-lead cap. Minerals like sphalerite and galena, they're the first to drop out of the solution, forming this unique upper layer. But as we move deeper, we hit the really hot copper-rich core. This is the heart of the treasure chest, right? This is where the highest temperature fluids dumped their valuable load of chalcopyrite, often forming the most economically important part of the whole system. And then, way down at the bottom, we find the fossilized plumbing. This is the stringer or feeder zone. It's this complex web of veins running through the rock that literally shows us the exact pathways the metal-rich fluids took to get to the seafloor. It's so cool. You know, the type of volcanic rock it all forms in plays a huge role too. If a deposit forms in these dark, iron-rich rocks called basalts, it tends to be rich in copper and zinc. But if it forms in lighter, silica-rich felsic rocks, you're more likely to get a nice mix of zinc, lead, and copper. Now, here's what is truly incredible about all this. This isn't just ancient history we're talking about. We can actually watch these metal factories in operation today, right now. What we see happening on the seafloor today are called black smokers. These fiery underwater chimneys are, for all intents and purposes, VMS deposits in the making. They are our living laboratories, giving us a direct, real-time window into the exact processes that formed those ancient deposits we now find and mine on land. And this process has been a constant feature of our dynamic planet. We find these deposits all through the geologic record, from the absolute giants in Canada that are 2.7 billion years old, all the way to the vents that are actively puffing away along the mid-Atlantic ridge as we speak. So why does all of this matter? Well, because these ancient seafloor formations aren't just some geological curiosity. They are absolutely critical to our global economy, accounting for a huge chunk of the world's zinc, and a really significant amount of the copper that ends up in our homes and our devices. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If these incredible metal factories are being forged right now, deep beneath the waves and totally hidden from sight, what other amazing geological secrets and treasures are still being created on that dark, mysterious ocean floor?